What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we got for you some exercises to improve deceleration. So deceleration is really important. We need to be proficient at this skill before we can build, right? Before we can really get into acceleration stuff, because they all build on top of each other, especially if we're looking at change of direction. A lot of that is your ability to decelerate and then re-accelerate. That's all what intermittent sports are about. Decelerating, re-accelerating, doing that over and over. So we need to do that in different planes, right? Laterally, going forward, even before we jump, right? We're running into it, then we have to decelerate in the sense we stop our forward motion to go straight up. So it's very important we train this, we train it in all different planes. We build up the structural tissues of the knee, the surrounding muscles to allow ourselves to absorb force, not let all that energy dissipate, but then utilize it to re-accelerate, whether we're sprinting, jumping, any of that good stuff. So we got 10 exercises for you today. Hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays, so make sure you're subscribed to catch all of them. Hope you guys like it. All right guys, so these are in no particular order. First exercise is just gonna be a super low level plyo. We're going line hops. So you can have an imaginary line, right? We're just gonna go over and back. So the reason I love this one so much is plyometrics are super great at working on deceleration, working on that stretch shortening cycle, working on force absorption, being able to withstand that force. And we need to build up our feet, our ankles, all of that here in the knee. So we can go single leg as well, right? For these line hops. Also, we go side to side. So being able to stop that movement and then switch it to the opposite side. Once again, we go this way. That's a great way to start training deceleration, especially at that lower level. And one other part of this too is we're having to go forward to back. So that initiation right there of boom to boom, it stops my forward momentum and it makes me go backwards. So training that, right, we see in sports a lot, we're running, boom, slow down, go to the side, or here to here. So it's the exact same movement, stop and go back. Super low level, great way to build it up. Number 2, we got multi-directional cone hop. So you see us do this one. I absolutely love this exercise, similar to line hops, because it works on, going forward to back. So you have to go backwards in this. You have to change the direction you're going. It's not just a straight forward, right? We're going diagonal, we're going back at a diagonal, we're going straight lateral. So you get all the different directional forces onto the body, having to stop, change direction. Even though you're going forward, you're going in a different direction. So that requires the ability to absorb force and, in a sense, relocate the path of your body. Sorry, we were interrupted by a phone call. So if doing the multi-directional cone hops are a little challenging, right, in that diamond, we can regress it to just your regular multi-directional cone jumps. So you see Spencer going double leg. This one, it's pretty basic. We start off with a lot of this stuff. So being able to jump forward, land, stick, decel, and then same thing going to the side. We gotta hit side to side. There are massive lateral forces in sports. So absorbing force is really critical. One of the best ways to train force absorption is jumping. All right guys, number 3, we have 2 variations, a progression and a regression. So we'll start with the normal one. It's gonna be a kettlebell decel step. Okay, so you've seen us do this one a lot. This is one of my favorite exercises. I don't know why I put the kettlebell down when I had to grab it right after. So we're gonna be here, you're gonna hold it in one side. The opposite side is doing the work, right? So I'm gonna get into a big step here, stick it high. So it's really important we stick it high at this angle up here, right? I don't wanna get to a thing where I can't absorb it so it takes me down. I'm also not just stepping, right? Lean into it, force your body to be able to stop that movement. The reason I like holding a kettlebell, you could even hold a dumbbell, but kettlebell is kind of easier to hold, is it adds load, right? So it's adding that load to the fall, increasing the force we have to absorb. And when we're decelerating, right, it's not just a casual here, stop, change, right? We're coming full speed. Like if we're full on sprinting to a stop, that is so much force we're having to slow down. Like just think about a big car trying to slam on the brakes. You know, it's not super easy. So we have to train keeping in mind that as we're sprinting into something, as we're jumping into something, it's so much force that we're trying to absorb, to withstand through our joints, through our muscles, right, in order to go somewhere else. So I like adding that load. For the regression, before you get there, we can keep it super simple. We can just lean, step, step, decel, right? Get really good at that. Here, step, step, decel, right? You don't want to get to a point where you're like here and then you're like falling down, or you're here and like you can't stop your body, so you start to go. Get really good at being able to decel. Just here, stopping in a strong position. No here, no wobbles. Just get real good. You don't have to start crazy heavy. I have people start with like a 10, just holding something, working on sticking it, and then we go from there. Number 4, we're going broad jumps. So we have a couple of variations, and then we're gonna add on to the end of a broad jump at the third one. So for this, we're just going sticking it every single jump. So this is how we teach our athletes being able to jump, being able to stick it, absorb that force in a good position that sets you up for success, right? You don't want to be all wobbly. So we hit that, we get really good at that, being able to stop your body. And then we can go more continuous once that's a learned skill. So one leads to the next, and then being able to stop it there. So you're adding force every time, being able to stop it at the end. Another thing we love to do is a broad jump into a vertical jump, or you see us do a broad to box. So we do a lot of different jump variations like tacked onto each other. So this requires really strong force absorption out of one movement into force production to another. So being able to stop your forward momentum right there and pop straight up, it's really important. That's a huge part you see in jumping, right? Like sprinting into a jump, just sprinting in general. All right, guys, number 5, I think. I'm losing count. I don't know why I keep saying numbers, to be honest. Next one, we're going a forward lunge or a front lunge. So most of the time in our videos, you'll see us do a reverse lunge. So I love these. Number 1, they just feel so much better on my knees. But number 2, I like coming out of here into this because it's really good for acceleration, accelerative purposes, right? Force production, getting going forward. However, doing forward lunges also have some benefit, you know, especially if they don't hurt your knees. So for example, training deceleration, right? Just being here, and we push back, right? Stopping that momentum going forward, returning back. It's a great way to train that, to really work on building up the knees for the exact same reasons why we talk about the jumping and everything. My body's going this way, absorb it, control. So that's a great strength exercise to work on deceleration. Number 6, we got a depth drop. So like we were talking about with the kettlebell, increasing force, we can do a similar thing by increasing the height from which we drop. So depth drops are great. You can go when you're ready. Depth drops are great at working on force absorption, force, being able to withstand force as well as absorbing force. So great for mechanics. You see Spence drop off with 1 foot each time. His landing is perfect, right? You pull yourself down, you squeeze your glutes, you drive your knees apart, right? We don't want that internal rotation where we're getting a knee valgus. So you see the double leg, right? When you're real good at that, we can go to single leg. You do not have to be doing this off of an 18, especially if you're a young athlete. And just because you can go double leg off an 18 does not mean you can, nor should you do a single leg off an 18. So these are very great ways to work on deceleration. And then this one right here, we're going to drop to some running steps. So shoot back to that kettlebell one where I'm telling you guys, you know, decelerate those steps. This would be a progression to the steps as well, right? Falling from height, having to absorb right here, get into a small run and absorb again, right? We need to absorb multiple places for this one, right? We have to absorb force coming out of this. If not, we're like one of those, right? Where our body just is like, woo, and we go. Our lower body can't handle the force just created. So we have to get really good at right? Now absorbing force and being able to push out of it. So that initial drop being good for the following steps and then hitting it again. Next, we got step downs. This is one of my favorite exercises for knee health and knee, rehab, I guess, if you will, if you're coming off of a knee injury. But this is great at training deceleration because we're really training everything around the knee. We're training the hips with this as well, glute strength, working that posterior chain, stability, core strength. So one foot's on the box, other foot, the heel lightly taps the ground. We're not driving off of it. It's just a light tap, the foot on the box, that leg's doing all the work. So with this one, it really trains that ability to load up the quad in a way that supports the knee, right? When we're playing sports, it's all about being, forceful and creating force, and our muscles need to be strong in order to support our joints, in order to support the movements we have to do. So by doing this exercise, we're really building up the knee, increasing the tolerance, increasing the load it can handle, the stability. So it's a great strength exercise to train improving deceleration. Okay, so kind of falling in line with step downs, but kind of off to the side a little bit. We're sticking it in the same group, but these are gonna be decel step ups. So this is a great exercise to work once again on the deceleration, but adding a little bit more force in there. So we have two variations. We can start side on. I recommend using a box that kind of allows you to come up a little bit. Probably should be using the 18, but I'm too lazy to walk 10 yards. So we're gonna be here side on. We're gonna push up and then control it on the way down. So having the strength to land, to absorb here, control my body down. That's all that it is, having that control. I don't wanna be here and down, right? That's not it. It's here, jump, slow and controlled. Strength through the knee, strength in the glutes, the hips, absorbing that force. So that's one, the side on, and we can also go front on, where I'm here, I alternate and I go slowly on the way down. I absorb that force, strength through the knee. That's the exact same thing if I'm running, boom, have to absorb here. So these are two great options. I feel like this is the exact same thing I'm saying after every exercise. Great option. Another exercise that's super awesome is gonna be something like skips. So we can go regular skips, and then on the way back, Spence will go skips for height. So doing skips for height, right, it increases the load you have to absorb every time. So it's one thing to be able to absorb load, or absorb force, but it's another to be able to move afterwards, right? In sports, we're not gonna be able to stick it every time for like 1 or 2 seconds to gain control. You have to do it as you're loading up for the next movement. So we'll also go skips for distance. This is a great one too. So the whole goal here is to be able to decelerate in a way that allows you to do another explosive movement right after. So keep that in mind as you go. Start easy, build it up. Number 9 is actually gonna be something with a med ball. So everything here is pretty much lower body, but we will throw in some upper body for our upper body athletes. So doing something with a med ball is a great way to work on deceleration. Now, you might be confused by that because you hear me say that med ball is a great way to work on force production, power production through the entire range of motion. So you don't have to cut it at the top. You don't have to decelerate at the top, right? You can completely throw the ball as hard as you want, full range. However, the part that's great for deceleration is after the ball's left your hand, right? So after the ball's left your hand, as we're producing full power, that's when our muscles have to work on deceleration, right? If I just shot put as hard as I can, but I don't have the ability to decelerate, right, my arm would just fly out of the socket. So at a certain point, like, our muscles do have to decelerate even at a full range of motion, or like I said, like, pew, bye-bye arm. So one thing that's great about med ball is it trains that ability, right? It trains that full here, but also once I slam at that certain point, my muscles start to decelerate, right? They start to absorb that force to prevent my arms from going out of my shoulder. Same thing with sprinting, right? We're working, it's not just concentric actions, there's a lot of eccentric actions preventing movements from occurring, right? As I'm in this follow through phase, part of my muscles are eccentrically working to keep my leg here. If not, boom, my leg would just fly out of the socket. So there's a decelerative aspect to pretty much everything, right? If I'm doing that shot put, probably shouldn't do it against the drywall. If I'm doing a shot put right here, boom, at a certain point, my arm, my shoulder, right, it's working to decelerate, even though I'm fully accelerating, to decelerate to keep my shoulder healthy, to work that joint. Same thing with my lower body, right? As I'm right here, right, I'm getting full power through my hips and everything, but also my leg is working to not, boom, let my body completely go, to not have anything come out of the joint. So through these power exercises, we still work on deceleration. Final exercise, we're doing a Spanish squat and then a Spanish split squat. So this has been in our videos pretty often recently. I love this exercise for so many reasons, but if we're talking deceleration, it's training our knees to be really strong. So that band is trying to pull our knees forward and we're preventing that from happening as we're squatting. Similar thing when we're decelerating, our momentum, our bodies are traveling forward and then we have to stop, right? We have to prevent that forward motion. That's what we're doing here. We're preventing the forward motion of the knee that's being pulled from the band as we're going. So once you hit squats and get real good at those, right, we can also go a split squat variation. So we're here, that band is pulling the front knee, we're preventing it from going forward, but we're still getting our squats in. So we're able to get low, we're able to train that position you see us in sports, we're able to resist being pulled forward, strengthening the knee. So this one is really good. I highly recommend doing this exercise, even if it's a warm-up before your lift, or even if it's part of like your plyo session, you know, before you get really into your deceleration or into your box jumps or whatever it might be. Doing something like this to work on the ability to absorb force, work on that strength of the knee, highly recommend. So hopefully you guys liked this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and we will see you later. Say bye.